Hey everybody, welcome to Trending. Today's Thursday, March 24th. It is 9:32. Today's my brother Ryan's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ryan. I don't think he watches Trending, but happy birthday, Ryan. I'm
going
to call you
time
out.
to start.
Yes, exactly. All right, how you doing today, Joe? You doing all right?
I'm doing all right. You?
Doing good.
Yeah, the sun's out today.
Yeah, finally, some nice weather. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for some spring weather.
Yeah, man, it's about that time.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a reminder, today we're going to take some top trending topics on Google and Twitter and kind of talk about it from a faith perspective. Just a heads up, Joe, today I think we're just going to hit three. There's three kind of big ones I figure we might go a little bit long on, so I'm going to just do three today instead of a normal five.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes.
All right.
So, obviously this is still NCAA tournament time.
Right.
Ukraine-Russia's still going on. There's a lot going on in the world. Actually, neither of those were trending this morning, which is kind of surprising to me. So we'll start with what was at the top of the list.
Okay.
You and I were chatting beforehand. Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
At the top of the list this morning. Many Chiefs fans are in mourning today and yesterday after our star receiver got traded to the Dolphins. It's probably going to make a lot of money.
Yes.
And the Chiefs just have so much talent. I don't know. Anyways, my biggest thought on this is if we had to lose someone, I'm glad it's not Kelsey.
Okay.
If we had to lose one of our big stars, as long as we have Mahomes and Kelsey, like if it's 4th and 5, fourth quarter down by 7, Mahomes is going to go to Kelsey. So I feel like we've got our safety blanket. They just got Juju Smith-Schuster, so I think we're going to be okay. I'm very sad. I loved watching Hill. He's one of those just crazy talented players. Right. I saw several people are saying that they think Hill is going to miss Mahomes more than Mahomes will miss Hill. Oh. Which I think that will be true.
Sounds like people living in denial.
Yes. We're working through the stages of grief here in the state of Kansas. But man, okay, well, we can talk about Hill, but also I can't remember a season in my life where there's been this many huge moves in the offseason.
Right.
I feel like when the season actually starts here, like every team's going to look very different from last time we saw these teams play. There are just so many huge moves this year. Yes. So any thoughts on Hill or the latest NFL shakeups?
I think that Kansas City's going to make it out well in this deal because they get 6 draft picks. Now, I think there's not a lot of like uber talented people, like headliners in this draft. But I think as we see in the NFL, a lot of times guys who go relatively unnoticed into the draft through the draft and they make NFL rosters actually get better the first few years. And so, I mean, I think the wide receiver room was awful crowded when they signed Schuster. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting to see him go. I thought maybe like Hardman or these other guys will go. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I think the Dolphins look good. I mean, Waddle had a great rookie season, so you got like a 1-2 punch there. Yep. Easier division. Yep. My theory is I think Hill doesn't believe that Kansas City can win in this division. And let's just be honest. They got a lot of talent. They looked good, and they looked really bad at times. Yep. And Andy Reid has a history of winning a lot of games, but not many very big games. Yeah. And so I think Hill wants to win, and when he wait it all out, or maybe he just wants to make more money and have more sunshine. I mean, I have no idea.
If you want to win, I still take Kansas City over Miami.
No, I don't agree. I mean, bold prediction here. I don't think Kansas City wins the division.
It's a hard division this year.
Yeah, it's a brutal division.
It is a brutal division.
So I think you as Kansas City fans, you gotta get used to maybe some mediocrity this year.
Ouch. We will see. There's so many big moves happening. I feel like nobody knows what's going to happen until the season starts. So
the draft is coming up, so we'll see. I think everybody's like, you're right though. There's a lot of moves before the draft. Yeah. And so this has been kind of fun to watch. Yep. Yes. Okay, we'll try not to bore people with sports talk too much. All right.
Okay, so kind of some sad news, but I thought we could talk about it a little bit. So Madeleine Albright passed away yesterday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I am young enough. I was not following politics when she was in her kind of highest role. She was the first female Secretary of State, right? And so she kind of was a trailblazer in a lot of ways. So again, I don't really know her politics very well. I'm sure she was with President Clinton. I'm sure some people maybe didn't love everything she did. I don't know. Right. But I did a little bit of research today, and I found some fun facts about her I did not know before. Okay. So regardless of your politics, I learned some cool things about her. You may know some of these, maybe you don't. Right. So twice her family had to escape Nazi or communist power. Like she's from Czechoslovakia, I think. Right. And so she's a refugee who escaped from the Nazis and the communists twice as a child.
Not once but twice.
Yes. So I mean that's a pretty unique feat, I suppose.
Right. That's right.
Okay, when she was getting her doctoral degree from Columbia, she was also raising 3 daughters.
Okay.
So pretty cool.
That's before like word processing, all that stuff. Like that was before all the technology to leverage and make that work easier.
Yes.
So she's like handwriting stuff out, feeding kids, doing laundry in the wash, all that stuff, right?
And I can't imagine there were too many females getting a doctorate at Columbia at the time. So anyway, just a big achievement. Okay, this is one of my favorite ones. Okay. I guess she was known for kind of taking pretty complex concepts and making them easy to understand. That's one of her legacies. Yeah. So one thing that she did, which I didn't know, is she worked with DC Comics.
Nice.
So I guess there were some areas where they were afraid there might be some landmines. So she worked with DC Comics to teach kids the danger of landmines and like warning signs to look for. So she helped like write some Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman stories to help teach kids about how to be careful around landmines.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
That's very cool.
And then the last one is this. I think this one's just kind of funny, but I guess somewhat famously, Saddam Hussein called her a serpent, I guess. And so she just decided to own that. And so she made like a snake lapel.
Right.
And she just wore that whenever she was dealing with Iraq stuff. She had like a serpent lapel pin.
That was one of her like features. She would wear a lapel pin quite a bit, and there was always like something coded.
A meaning behind it. So
you got to feel like Taylor Swift got like all like the crafty things that she does, maybe from someone like Madeleine Albright.
Yes.
Let's just go ahead and make that direct line.
Yes. Let's claim it here first, right here on Trending. So again, I don't know. I didn't know much about her, but I was reading it this morning. She's got a pretty cool story of overcoming a lot of difficulties, becoming a first woman Secretary of State, and just I like the kind of fun pop culture stuff that a lot of people probably don't know, the comics and just all that stuff. So anyway,
I think whenever we can, it's good to humanize these political figures, because when they enter into that realm of service, they tend to be characterized. They tend to be demonized or maybe too quickly praised, and we lose our humanity in it. I think it's good to have some of these features like comic book. Comic book coaching.
Yes.
Things like that. That's cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
And again, that's one thing I like about our thing doing Trending and with keeping an eye on the trending topics is like we get to learn about these historical figures that I didn't know these things about her. So anyway, just got some sad news about her passing. She was 84, died of cancer, but I was able to learn about her this morning and learn some cool things.
Yeah. And like she worked all the way to the end. Like she was, I think she wrote for an editorial for the New York Times, relatively close to whenever she passed. So she never quit. Kept working. Cool. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, the last one I want to spend some time on, kind of a heavy, difficult topic, but Brian Houston from Hillsong is in the news. I'm not sure how much you're following that, but he's resigning from all of his duties at Hillsong. He is at least being accused of some pretty inappropriate behavior. There's been kind of a few more things tumble out over the past couple of years about his past and about some things he maybe wasn't very honest about. So he's done with Hillsong, at least at the moment. And so there's just this really unfortunate trend of high-profile Christian leaders that we kind of grew up with. There's been, like in the past handful of years, there's been a lot of them.
Right.
And in fact, it's becoming more rare for someone to not have a controversy than for someone to be kind of on the straight and narrow. So heavy news. I've seen some non-Christian friends of mine post about this and be like, another megachurch pastor. Yeah. How can we trust these pastors when more and more of these stories? So it's a big enough trend, and I've seen enough buzz about it. And it's trending on Google this morning. Wow. So I just want to give you a chance. What are your thoughts as you see these kind of headlines come across? What can we as the church, as Christians, do? Wow. What do we do when our kind of famous leaders fall? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, obviously Hillsong was a big feature in our upbringing. They wrote all the songs that we like to sing, and they were like the cool church that really was making headways into culture. I mean, I think if you look at the cities in Australia where they were founded, people like they were being included in not just church religious stuff, but they were trend setting. They've had high profile artists work with them, all these things, and I just remember being in awe of just how big their ministry was. Yeah, I remember attending a Hillsong church in the Virginia Beach area, like one of their partner churches, and just being amazed by the fervor of the people and how connected and committed they were to the church. Yeah, and just thought, wow, like this is really something unique and special. I've also just we've been Christians long enough. You see some of these movements, some of these personalities come and go. Mm-hmm. I guess I would say this. There's a good so I remember when Ted Haggard, the country runner Ted Haggard came out, and I just remember people on my Facebook feed. When the news broke, they immediately went to Ted's defense. Saying it was a smear campaign, hit job, there's no truth to it. How could these accusations be true? And then, when it all came out, he certainly confessed. People had this weird dilemma now. I think what happens is we have to unfortunately deal with, why was I so quick to have a bias one way or the other towards protecting this person? I guess I would just simply say this. We need to be amazed about what God does through certain individuals. They have this great influence. We also have to hold some sort of affinity to them quite lightly, because they are still imperfect human beings like we are. There's a chance that they have failed in the past. Maybe they could fail in the future. And we don't owe them anything to come to their defense. Yes, they're our brother or sister in Christ, but we don't owe them anything in our social media circles to try to somehow prove that those accusations are wrong. We don't spend all day combating people on Facebook when they say things. I think that we have to own the parts of the church that have been hurtful, have been out of line. And we can still affirm that God is still in a mystery, up to something quite unique through this worldwide group of people, even when we fail. Yeah. And so we have to learn from their mistakes and continue to go on our own way and try to figure out how to do it better in the days to come. I think it's unfair to say that all big ministries will land in these types of scandals or these types of things, because that's just certainly not true. But we do have to be aware that when power is given to anyone, including Christian leaders, that's a powerful source that can bring great good or great problems. And so I just think we have to think, how can we be more humble, be more transparent, so that these types of things won't happen, so that cascading effects won't hurt the church's ability to influence the world around us in the days to come. So this is a lot to try to digest here.
It is. Yeah. And I think, there's the whole part about, I think we're one of the first generations, this may not be true, but we're surrounded by celebrity pastors, right? There's a lot of big name people that a lot of people are watching, reading all the time. And there's just that danger that comes with celebrity also. And it's just weird when we treat a pastor like a celebrity. How do we handle that? I'm really curious, and I'm kind of glad that you and I get to play a small part in this, but I feel like church is just going to change a lot in the next few generations. The celebrity pastor thing, something probably needs to change with that. We've seen that doesn't tend to work very well. Right. And there's all these conversations about church online, right? How is that going to affect the future? And it's just really, we're in a very interesting time in church history where there's kind of several things combining at the same time, where church in 20, 30 years, however many years, might look different, and it'll be interesting to see how that comes together. But at the same time, I'm just reminded that the Bible's clear that Jesus is building his church. It's not our job. Somehow the church will endure, even though messy people are in charge. And so it's just, I'm curious to see where all this lands down the road, and there's some problems that we need to address, clearly. Right. So
I think that there's something about human nature. We want someone to be our patron. That's just we know that we don't have the strength, the skills, the information probably necessary to fully embrace the thing that we're trying to embrace. Yeah. And there's no way to know everything about the Bible, but we still affirm it as God's word, even before we can investigate that claim all the way to its depth. Yeah. So I think that there is a temptation for any of us to have someone to believe for us. So just like we love a sports team, and we are with them in their highs and their lows, we come to their defense whenever the refs cheated us out of that one, right?
Or the Chiefs are going to win this year, even without Tyreek Hill, Joe.
Right. I just think that there is this impulse, particularly in our era of church, for people to believe for us, because there's some sort of lack within us. That's why we want celebrities who might have just a little bit of faith. to be that shining light of Christian example for us, a la Tim Tebow.
Right.
I don't know Tim Tebow. He's probably a fantastic human being. He's got a great origin story. I feel like he handles himself well. But none of us need to have Tim Tebow believe for us and shape culture for us. Like we should take that responsibility back on ourselves instead of having some of these celebrities like Christian MMA fighters or like Christian artists, or like us. We want the greatest artist out there right now to have some sort of a Christian faith so we can somehow prove that our faith is better than the rest. I think that we have to address that and say, no, how can I take the Christian faith upon my own life? How can I take it for myself and walk out the way that Jesus wants me to do and not have somebody, not have a spectator religion where we watch somebody else do our work for us. Yeah. That's why sometimes these conferences drive me crazy because we want some of these celebrities to continue to have their platform enlarged so they can and somehow make our life better. Yeah. What would make our life better is to follow Jesus personally and to do it in a community of people that we're going to know in small groups, in church life, in mission groups. That's what really makes the Christian faith come alive. Not because some celebrity out there gets a greater platform because they have a Christian faith. Right. Be it an athlete, politician, an artist, whatever. We need to say, what can we do as individual Christians and local churches to advance the gospel with the opportunities that we have?
And I think we all need leaders and like mentor figures, right? I think that is healthy, and I think we need that. But maybe it doesn't have to be Tim Tebow or Brian Houston. Maybe it can be a small group leader or a local pastor, or maybe that. Yeah. I think there's an element of good that we've just taken out of proportion, I think. So, and then that's when these problems tend to happen. So
that's right.
But it's also, obviously we don't want to completely write Brian Houston off. We don't want to write Hillsong off. We don't want to overreact and totally just trash them forever. So it's a hard thing to know how to handle that. But
yeah, I think opponents of Hillsong will lionize this moment and say it's all false because they don't like a line or two of a worship song that's come out of Hillsong. Yeah, and say here's the reason why. This is so that they'll deceive you if you continue to follow. No, in mystery. The move of God continues forward. I think of the dynamic between the first king in Israel was Saul, and God lifted His blessing from Saul early in his reign, and then He anointed David to replace him. But David wasn't king, so there's this interesting overlapping period where Saul is still king, but David has been anointed as king, and Saul is trying to kill David. And David had opportunities to take care of Saul, but he didn't, and he did it on this premise. God says not to touch His anointed and do His prophets no harm. So even when Saul was messing up internally, and God knew that, and I'm sure everyone else knew that, there was still a reverence. There was still something is going on here. We still need to speak truth to power. We still need to be honest about leader struggles, but we don't need to scrap and throw it all away. In a mystery, there's still something going on, even in the midst of all of the hard stuff. But we do need to learn our lessons. We do need to set up better systems where this stuff can't flourish. For the sake of people who are vulnerable and who are victims in these environments. But we need to say, hey, lives are still being changed, even in the midst of all this. That doesn't justify the wrongdoing at all. It's just the mystery of it all. So,
Okay, well, that's all I had today. Some heavy news. We need to go watch some basketball or something.
That's right.
To get out of the unfortunate, sad news that we're training today. But.
So you need to know this guy is in first place in the church staff bracket challenge.
Somehow, I need Duke to win. Okay. As long as Duke's still in there, I might have a shot at this thing. But we'll see. Who knows? All right. Still a lot of basketball to play.
That's right. All right, man.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We appreciate all of you who watch every week. Many thanks to you. Hope you have a great day, great weekend. Hopefully see you Sunday and next week.
See you next week.
Okay. See you guys. Thank you.
Yep.